for them. That I can tell you. You're going to see that.
To discuss this all further, I'm now joined by Matthew RJ Brodsky, a Middle East and geopolitical analyst at Wikistrat. Matthew, thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be here.
So, in a recent article, you argued that President Trump's hands have been somewhat tied on policies related to Iran because of carryovers from the Obama administration and individuals that also served in that administration. Do you think this latest congressional measure making it harder to lift sanctions is yet another example of Trump being forced into certain foreign policy measures and strategies, or do you think that this fits the president's agenda?
It's definitely meant to tie his hands. I mean, that's why it's such a broad package. It makes it a lot harder for the president to say, no, I don't want to sanction North Korea. No, I don't want to sanction Iran. So Russia's in there. It makes it so there's something for everyone in Congress. Obviously, it's overwhelming support in the House and the Senate. So it makes it more difficult for him to say no, but it's definitely designed to curtail his operating room. But, you know, when we're talking about holdovers and how the interplay in the administration, that's definitely a problem because there's a tug of war on all sorts of foreign policy issues.
What, for example, can you give us some examples of where this has been the most apparent?
Well, specifically in the State Department, if you're looking at Iran policy and when it came to the recertification for following the nuclear deal, when you look at the issue of Qatar and how Secretary of State Tillerson would like to handle it, when you look at that versus the White House, and each of them have come down on different sides. When it comes to Israel and recent reports that the State Department put out. But there's another, a harder, bigger issue, I think, that for most Americans that they're probably not aware of, and that is the echo chamber that was from the Obama administration and from Ben Rhodes from the National Security Council back then still lives. And so a lot of what you're hearing on TV today are talking points you heard from the Obama administration as they basically are now trying to rewrite history and make it seem as though Trump, the president, has done X, Y, and Z, when in fact, these are things that they did. They made happen, and now Trump has inherited that.
You know, for example, we heard President Trump today in a press conference with the Lebanese Prime Minister saying that his administration has done more in the past 4 or 5 months to combat ISIS than the Obama administration did in 8 years. A lot of people pointed to that afterwards and said, no, actually, a lot of these policies were carryovers from the Obama administration. What would you have to say to that?
I would have to say that that's just, it's repeating other people's talking points from before, who ever since November 2016 have been trying to rewrite the history books. The fact is, with just a Tomahawk missile strike, what Trump accomplished was something more than Obama was able to do in his 8 years in office, specifically when it comes to ISIS. Now, one can argue, and it would be a fine and valid point, that the concentration on ISIS seems to be coming at the exclusion of Iran. Okay, that would be a point, but that's not even the point that they're making. They're making the whole point, which is that this is all somehow Trump's mess that he created, or that he's really just doing the same thing. Certainly, he needs to come up with a more robust foreign policy that includes Iran and apply that throughout the region. But in the meantime, there's no leg for these peoples and these reports for it to stand on to say that what the president is doing is the same as Obama. Otherwise, it would have worked.
Well, Matthew, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Each administration likes to take the credit for what they're doing, say it's totally different than what we've seen before, when in reality that rarely happens. Thank you so much for joining us and for that analysis. Coming up, we look at a moving interview today with an Israeli survivor of a terror attack. He's joining the Israeli ambassador to the